if you're not growing, you're shrinking. You know what I mean? Like it's entropy. If you're not improving something, like it's naturally going to degrade. Meet up for a coffee at Coeur Coffee Company. And I was like, this place is really cool. And he goes, dude, you're here right now? And I was like, what? And he goes, stand up and wave your arms around. So I stand up and I'm like, and he stands up from across the coffee shop and he goes, bro.
All right, Mark Cuda is a husband of one, father of five, an entrepreneur who founded both Ancient Strength, an ancestrally rooted performance brand, and most recently the CDA Giant, a local publication focused on local stories of interest, arts and culture, community events, original comics, and more, all rooted right here in Coeur d'Alene.
My wife and I full-time RV'd for a year in 2016, 2017. We traveled almost 40 states. We've been a lot of places. And I've never been anywhere that feels like Coeur d'Alene. I drove into downtown and was like, yo.
What is it?
I gotta live here. And I got here and I was like, I feel almost like my dad's spirit here. And I grew up going to Oregon a lot and always loved Oregon. And something about it felt so familiar, but yet different. And it just had this amazing blend of all the things that I was looking for. And like we knew immediately when we got here, like we're gonna move here. My wife and I had just decided, we were literally at the lake and our lease was up. This was August, our lease was up in March. So we were like, as soon as March comes around, we're gonna move out here. And then like 20 minutes later, we get this phone call and she goes, it's gonna take us about 6 weeks to do this. You can either camp out in your living room, and she kind of just like hangs on that. And I'm like, you realize that my wife is 8 months pregnant and I have 3 babies at home. And I'm like, you do realize like that's impossible, right? No. And she's like, well, the other option is like we could just terminate your lease for you and just like let you out of your lease. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, but you have to be out by the end of the month. And I was like, let me talk to my wife.
Strange.
And I tell my wife and she's like, let's go, let's do it.
Strange how there's a guiding hand in a lot of this. I don't know the reason. We had talked about this because my story's similar. I came here really on a whim. We were looking at moving to Idaho. We were looking in Boise. And last minute we took a trip up here and I walked out on the city beach. And like I knew it in my soul. And I didn't even know anything about the community. I hadn't met anybody up here. I knew nobody that lives up here. It was just like something called to me and my wife. And within, 3 months, we had sold our house and moved here and bought a house. And like, coming to Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho and having had that vision in my mind forever, I think it just kind of fit the bill for that. And it was like, there it is. And I can't put my finger on it other than maybe there's a guiding force in it. For some reason that people are gathering here and the right people are gathering here. I don't know. All the people that call us and want to move here, they're such fantastic human beings. And I'm just so thankful to know all of them.
Yeah.
I can't, maybe someday I'll be able to put my finger on it. I don't know what it is.
And to that point, people complain so much about growth. Oh, there's too many people. They're building too many houses. It's like, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. Like it's entropy. If you're not improving something, like it's naturally going to degrade.
Right.
Like people have to, and this is a big thing that I care about. You cannot hold on to the past. It's the past is the past to discuss.
Yeah, and it's a very vocal minority. I get it. I hear this constantly. I have this conversation all the time.
I bet. Being in real estate.
100%. Right. I am single-handedly to blame for all of the problems because of this YouTube channel. So I get it. And I understand. I grew up in a very small town. It is not a small town anymore where I grew up. But like it changes. And that sucks. But you're right. Change is one of the only inevitable things. Like it's a constant. It's always going to change. Everything is always going to change. That's just a function of life. So
self-direct it.
Yes, you can choose to focus on the negatives or you can find the positives in it and move forward. And, I challenge people all the time in our comments of like, hey, like, what are you doing to make the community better? Are you doing anything? Or are you just sitting there complaining about
Their inherent argument is that the community being smaller makes it better. And I'm like, I'm not so sure that that's even true.
Right.
And okay, that's not going to happen. So now what?
Exactly. It's not going to happen. The ship has sailed. The secret's out. It's been out for decades. You know what I mean?
People know about Coeur d'Alene.
Right. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. So I think the important thing, and this is what I say a lot, is to make sure that we attract the right people.
Right. And we build a community
Yes.
that actually welcomes and retains the right people and spits out the people who don't want to be here.
Exactly.
If we get serious about our values and we get serious about our intentions for what we want to build here, then people who want to be a part of that are going to come here, and the people who don't are going to leave. Or they're going to come and they're going to find that it's not for them, and they're going to leave. The key is not to play a passive role, but an active role in shaping the community. I was like, I need a new coffee shop to go to. Well, maybe I'll go downtown. I don't go downtown as often as I should. So let me go find a place downtown. And I found a place called CDA Coffee Company.
There it is.
And I was like, cool, this place looks pretty dope.
Yep.
Pictures look sick.
Yep.
I think I'll go down there. So I go down there and I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy smokes, this building is amazing.
It's beautiful if you've never been there.
It's a gorgeous building
awesome.
right on Lakeside. You got to go check it out. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, wow, this place is super cool. And like, it's got a great vibe. And there's like cool people there wearing cool sweaters. And I was like, these are my people, you know? And so I was like, I should reach out to the people that I connected to. And I sent a couple messages out, including to Roman. And I get a message back from him right away. And he goes, dude, are you here? Because I said in my message, I go, yeah, I'm maybe we can meet up for a coffee at Coeur d'Alene Coffee Company. And I was like, this place is really cool. And he goes, dude, you're here right now? And I was like, what? And he goes, stand up and wave your arms around. So I stand up and I'm like, and he stands up from across the coffee shop and he goes, bro. And he runs over and we end up talking for like 2 hours. And he tells me that he's going to go tour the co-working space the next morning to maybe get a membership, that I should come by for the tour. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm there. I went the next morning, met Kirsten, who used to run the Innovation Collective down there. And immediately I was sold. They took me to the lair and I was like, where do I...
Oh, that place is dope, dude.
Where, like, you know that Fry meme from Futurama where he's got like the money in his hand, shut up and take my money.
Yes.
That was like me immediately. I was, shut up and take my money. and I signed up for that place and I got plugged into some groups immediately, started going to some events, and I was like,
there's a lot going on there.
There's so much going on here. And then that like parlayed into connecting with Dave and then with Life and all sorts of other people. And of course I met Anna at the Innovation Collective.
Yeah.
Anna's who connected
That's
us.
how we connected.
It was a ton of fun. And that beacon of the Innovation Collective initially was the thing that made me realize like this could be a home for me. Algorithms feed us negativity and continue to feed us negativity because they want to. And they know that they can trigger us with fear just as much as they can trigger us with love, right?
What is it with fear and anger? Because there's a little part that like feels good to be angry too, right? Like what is that? Is that tapping into some kind of primal...
So there's a I'll send you the chart, but there is like an emotional guidance chart that you can look at that actually shows like the resonant frequency of various emotions on the scale, with like, you know, oneness, enlightenment, let's say, being like bliss being all the way at the top, right? And then like pure fear is all the way down at the bottom. And actually what you learn to do is, depending on where you are in the scale, you don't try to go from like here to all the way over here. You literally just try in a couple breaths with a little bit of thought intention to move from whatever emotion you're feeling to the next emotion above it, right? Which means you go from feeling, you know, fear to feeling anger. Mm-hmm. And you go from feeling anger to feeling frustration. And you go from frustration to feeling, you know, discontentment. And from discontentment, right? And you climb the ladder from there. And so the reason why anger feels kind of good is because anger is actually a more empowering emotion than pure fear or dread. Because when you're just totally afraid, you're helpless, right? Like you're tied up in a basement and some guy's got a shotgun in your mouth. Like, what the fuck are you going to do at this point, right? Like, there's nothing to even be angry about. You're just sad. Yeah. You're just sad because you're going to die, right? But then if you get out of the rope and he falls over and knocks himself out, now you're empowered and now you're angry. Yeah. You're not blissful. you're angry, right? So anger feels good because it is more empowering than pure fear.
But it's not far from it, huh?
Not far from it at all. And so like the key is to realize that anger is a call to transcend to something better. And you're never going to build something out of anger that has the kind of staying power or the impact that love has, right?
Yeah,
I mean, for conservative Christians who watch this and love Fox News, I'm pretty sure Jesus talked a lot about this, right? Like his principle was always love, always, right? He ate with sinners. He talked to people that people didn't want him to talk to. He saved a donkey on the Sabbath, right? Like Jesus was always about love, and he was never about anger, right? And so that to me is a great indicator of a direction. And I mean, here we are 2,000 plus years later, and he's still the most famous individual on the planet
Ever.
right? And so that tells you something, and his message was always love. And so I decided, well, if that's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So I try to look at everything from the lens of love.